What's up?
What I do, what I do.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Kind of weird.
It's the coffee. Starbucks will do it every time. Shout out to Starbucks.
I think it's being home. It's cooler.
Yo, your hair is doing something that I like.
I know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yo, welcome to another episode of CO in Rome.
This is Sio.
And this is Rome. And this is episode number 83.
Mm-hmm.
All right, CO.
What it do, bitch?
Back together again.
Yeah, we are.
Yo, so last week I had to do some traveling. Things are becoming very busy for the both of us. And we're just trying to find ways to kind of stay afloat, keep serving you guys that content weekly. It feels really good to be back here with you, CO.
No, thanks, friend. It feels good for you to be back, too.
Thanks.
No problem.
Well, I will not be discussing where my travels took me. I will say that I had a really good time.
I'm glad you had it. You're just out here living your best life.
Trying.
Yeah.
Trying.
I see you.
Before we jump into some topics, let's get a few things out of the way. First of all, best podcast of 2019.
Undisputed.
And if you want to dispute it, shoot us an email at coinrome@gmail.com. Also, if you want to get yourself some merchandise, we got t-shirts, sweatshirts, and hoodies. Head on over to afgoclothing.com.
Yep. And we have a discount code for you guys. If you want that, it is ZioandRome15. That gets you 15% off. Cop you something, take a picture, tag us in it, let us shout you out.
Yeah. So, anything of particular to know? Any catching up?
Nothing worth catching up. We had that little party yesterday.
Yeah, we had a little house party joint last night.
It was dope.
It was cool.
I have to say, I am obsessed with the game Aux God.
Really?
Yes, I love it. I feel like it's so interactive. It gets people thinking. Like, you get hype. Like, it's definitely a must do, like, whenever there's a party again.
Yeah, the cards are pretty good. I like it.
Yeah.
It's cool. Thank you to Ox God. We actually won that game when we were at the He-Man Woman Haters podcast
live show
last year, and that's the first time we really got to use it in a party setting.
Yes.
So that was really, really dope.
I had fun with that.
All right, well, why don't we go ahead and jump into some topics? I only have a few small things. Do you want to start us off?
Sure.
All right, you can start us off.
I mean, my stuff seems pretty serious. Do you want to start light, or do you want to go straight into the serious?
Light.
I have one sexual thing.
Oh, okay. Well, how about I start us off with something that's not serious?
That's what I'm saying. Something a little light.
This isn't really light. This is actually kind of sad, but I feel jokes. I feel jokes coming on.
All right, let's do that.
So I got this topic from lovebscott.com. Now, lovebscott.com is kind of like one of those gossip websites, but what I noticed with B. Scott is that he doesn't report on everything, like very selective on what they'll include. So this one is kind of like out there. It says, say what now? Dad fakes home invasion to cover up stealing daughter's Girl Scout cookie profits. Now,
is he white or black?
That's exactly. Yo, I'm glad you thought that, because I'm like, is this a white crime or a black crime, right?
This is a white crime for sure.
Most dads will be proud of their daughter for selling over $700 worth of Girl Scout cookies. One father was not only proud, but he saw it as an opportunity for a quick come up. 40-year-old Brian Couture, one troop father,
his last name's Couture,
called the police to report that the money went missing after a home invasion. He was later arrested after admitting to faking an elaborate scheme to cover up the missing money. I don't like the way that was written. I'm not going to blame that on my reading skills today. Via Complex. It all goes back to March the 9th when Couture placed a 911 call to report that an individual had broken into his house and an altercation ensued, ultimately ending with the perpetrator taking off. In response, police dispatched a K-9 unit as a full-blown hunt for the suspect was underway. The investigation instilled a widespread anxiety amongst the Forest Grove, Oregon residents. A local resident described the scene to KGW8. Quote, there were cops from all over. Dogs, the forensic team. They had crime tape up everywhere, the resident said. Now, I got to stop right here in the story.
Crime, caution, crime tape.
This is what I'm going to say, yo. In addition to this being a fake crime, I want to know, even if it was a real crime, why you doing all this
That's
for
what
someone
I'm
stealing
saying.
like less than a G? And
I thought that they only put that tape up if somebody gets killed.
however, investigators found no evidence of a home invasion and arrested Couture instead. In a statement, authorities said that he admitted to Forest Grove police investigators that the alleged incident was staged and that he did so to conceal the theft of money belonging to a nonprofit organization that was spent inappropriately. He is being charged with falsifying a police report and theft. And then the comment at the end by B. Scott says he was clearly on that Jussie.
Ooh, shade.
Yo, you hit it right on the nose. I was like, do y'all think this is a black crime or white crime? Not that it's a race thing, but it makes you start to visualize who the perpetrator is when you read stories like this.
I think he's a white older man, and he's probably scared of his wife. That's what it sounds like to me.
Maybe he's got a gambling or drug problem. Well, here he is.
He said, oh, that's definitely how I pictured him too. You know, he said it was money spent inappropriately. I'm trying to decipher what inappropriately would be.
Like he got a hooker.
Yeah, like he was
drugs.
like, yo, I'm thinking hooker. Like
Gambling.
that's what I'm thinking. Couple 700. I can get you a couple.
Yo, I got a little story
About a hooker?
No, about someone stealing money from my piggy bank when I was a kid.
Who did it? Did you ever find out?
My mom's boyfriend. Yo,
the nerve.
Let me tell you how homie tried to spin it. So he was like, he knew I was saving up money to buy my mom a Mother's Day gift.
Wow.
So he went in my piggy bank, took my money, and then I don't know exactly how I found out. I just knew my money was gone. He was like, I'm going to pay you back. What is it that you were going to get for your mom? And we ended up going to JCPenney, and he put it on his credit card. In my mind at the time, being a kid, I thought it was no big deal. It's like, I was going to use that money to get my mom a gift anyway. He's putting it on his card. No big deal. But now in hindsight, I'm like, son, you took my cash and then you just put my shit on credit. But my thing is, you should have consulted with me, even though I'm a child. And you shouldn't have touched my shit, nigga. Could you imagine me as a little kid? You shouldn't have touched my shit, nigga. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, that's so fucked up.
Yo.
I mean, granted, he probably tried to, rectify himself by doing the right thing. But still, like, once the deed is done, it's bad.
Like, I hope I never get to a stage in life as an adult where I feel the need to steal money from a child.
Yo, did he used to watch you put money in the piggy bank? Because he was probably like, damn, she got that guap.
I think that I was just so excited about saving the money and,
Yeah.
And the thing was, as a kid, I was like doing shit to make money, I was walking this little girl to school every day. I would get like, $5 a week.
Wait.
I used to pick her up from her house and walk her to school. So a child was walking a child to school.
So you was like a bodyguard?
Yeah, she was a little kid.
Wow.
She was little. I was like 8. She was like 5.
Yo, you're a G.
I was like, come on, little girl.
Is that the little girl in that picture that you're sunning?
No.
Oh.
No, but there are plenty of little girls.
That you sunned?
That I've sunned in my day.
Okay. There's also grown-ass women that you've sunned, but that's neither here nor there. Okay.
Thinking. What you got over there, fam? This shit's crazy.
Shit gonna get deep. Deeper than this Girl Scout cookie theft.
Deeper than rap?
Yeah. I don't know. Okay. So do you think it's really possible for people to grow out of their voiced and accepted troubled ways? Or do you find it that they just might find better ways to mask them?
I think people can grow out of habits.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, let's say that someone's known to constantly, like, do the wrong thing, specifically with, let's say, a drug habit. No, that's pretty addictive. Let's say something
How about
else.
stealing?
Stealing. Perfect. And they start to voice it. Oh, I'm tired of stealing from people. I don't want to be this person, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
And they're accepting that they have this flaw. They're voicing it and want to change. Do you feel like it's truly possible for them to change or that they just find a better way to hide it?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I used to steal a lot.
Oh.
Like, I'm talking about kid teenage years, that was what I did. I was the shoplift master.
Okay.
I wasn't out here boosting like thousands of dollars of merchandise.
Boosting is a really bad word.
But
that's like boosting up your ass in jail. Like when
really?
people, yeah.
Boosting is also a term like when you go to the store and you know how to steal a lot and then you sell it out the trunk of your car.
I just thought of buttholes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I never heard it used that way.
You've never heard someone say, yo,
every time I've heard boosting, it's like when you steal a bunch of merchandise from a store and you sell it out the trunk of your car.
Okay.
Man, we come from different places, don't we?
Clearly.
Anyway. So I wasn't boosting or anything like that. But if I was in the store and I saw something and I wanted it, I would create the whole like blueprint in my head of how I was going to go about getting what I needed. You know.
You case the area?
Yeah. Cameras. Who's working? Are they paying attention to me? Like I used to do the whole shebang. And then I got caught once and it was something really, really small. And I did avoid getting arrested. Whew. And I think I still stole for a while after that. But then it came a point in my life where I guess I just kind of grew up. And I was like, yo, I don't need to do this anymore. Like this has to stop. This isn't a good way to live. And it's gotten to the point where
bless you.
Wow, excuse me. One time I was at Family Dollar and I wasn't really even doing too well financially at this point in time, but I was walking around the store with something and when I got out to the parking lot, I realized I walked out the store without paying on accident. And I was like, fuck. And I felt so terrible. And I walked all the way back in the store and I paid for it. I was like, oh my God, I walked out of here on accident. I want to pay for this. And it was in that moment that I realized I wasn't that same person anymore. Because old me would have been like, oh, well, they didn't notice. I didn't mean it, but I'm out the store now. Fuck it. And it was something cheap to where I could have kept it pushing. But my internal, I changed who I am as a person.
Yeah.
My moral compass has changed a lot to where I was like, no, this isn't right. I need to go fix this.
Now, you did mention that you got caught and avoided going to jail, right? So do you feel that it takes someone to get caught in whatever their issue may be, their problem, their vice, their demons, to be able to then realize that there needs to be a change, or can it could just come from nowhere?
I think it can come from nowhere, but I think that whenever someone's going through some sort of transition, they're trying to change something very serious. Sometimes it does require you going through some sort of pivotal moment, whether it's getting caught or whether it's something else. Sometimes it takes for something to happen,
some sort of change,
to make you start thinking a little more deeply. Like if you're not seeing any type of negative impact as a result of your behavior, then it's likely that you're going to continue doing it because you know, it's like, this is cool. Nothing's wrong. It works. It's convenient, whatever. It sometimes has to take for something negative to happen for you to start thinking
and
about
I think
that change.
Where I agree with you with everything that you're saying. I think where I have an issue is when people voice that they have these vices and they say that they have to change and that they're aware that a change has to be done, but then they continue to do that. I feel like what's the point of admitting it if you're not willing to change it?
I think that we all kind of have our own inner demons. I don't want to say specifically what I'm dealing with right now, but I'm currently participating in something that I probably shouldn't be, according to, some decisions I've made for myself as an adult. And unfortunately, I'm still doing this thing that I told myself I was never going to do again. And it's like I've voiced that to myself. And sometimes in life, you just, it's difficult to resist certain temptations.
Yeah, because we're humans.
And if that thing that's tempting you does provide a certain level of satisfaction that outweighs the consequence, that's when it becomes very difficult to stop. That's when it becomes very difficult. And, even dealing with drug addiction, that's something that I've dealt with too in my lifetime. The satisfaction from doing drugs back when I was doing them didn't outweigh the consequences for me. That's why it was so easy for me to stop using drugs. But for other people, the way they feel when they're high, it creates such a euphoric experience that disconnects them from the reality of their lives that it becomes a need. You know what I mean? So I just think that it's kind of like circumstantial. It's case by case, person to person. But if that consequence doesn't outweigh the satisfaction perspectively, that's when it becomes hard. But when people think about the consequences, they're like, oh shit, this is really bad. Like it would be ideal if I could just stop doing this altogether. But it's hard. It's easier said than done. So I think voicing it and speaking out is healthy because you're acknowledging that it's wrong. And the worst thing to deal with is
and that exists.
And that it exists.
Mm-hmm.
The worst type of person to deal with is a person that doesn't acknowledge that there's an actual issue. Because if you don't acknowledge that there's an issue, you can't take the first step in trying to correct the issue. So, but I get what you're saying. There's people that voice it but never take that next step in stopping.
But you brought up a really good statement that kind of triggered something. As far as the consequence goes, I think that that fear of actually experiencing that consequence is also what will drive people to want to change. It's like, damn, I don't want to experience B by doing A, so let me just avoid this altogether. That fear should, like, you would stop yourself from doing things when you were younger because you had the fear of your mom finding out and whooping your ass.
Yeah, but some people aren't too afraid of the consequences if they have a certain level of confidence associated with their ability to recover from said consequence. If they're like, oh man, if I keep doing this, B will happen, but shit, I'll get through it because I'm tough enough that I'll figure it out and whatever. So it doesn't stop at the consequence. The ability to recover from said consequence factors into promoting the activity in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, I'll keep doing it. If I get caught, it'll suck. I'll deal with it. I'll get through it. But that's the risk I'm willing to take because this A is so important to me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying it's right. It makes sense. I'm just speaking on the psychological piece of like the thought that goes behind these types of decisions. Even with what I'm dealing with, it's like I'm very aware of the consequences that are associated with some of the decisions I'm making right now. But I know my ability to recover if things were to go left for me. I know that I will be able to recover from it. So it's a risk I'm willing to take because the benefit far outweighs the consequence that I'm willing to take the L if it ever came down to it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's weird, dude.
I just feel like I do believe that change is possible for people altogether with whatever it is that they're facing or struggling with. You just have to be mindful that you really want that change to take place because you can't excuse yourself every time.
The thing with me is like, if you're making decisions that are bad and the consequence is only going to affect you, like I get the whole thing that I'm like trying to explain here, like outweighing the risk and this and that and blah, 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 blah. But when you're, participating in like whether it's drug addiction or anything like that, that's the one that keeps coming to mind for me. And it's not going to only impact you, but it can impact your kids, it can impact all these other things. That's when the assessment of the risk sometimes is inaccurate because people only think about how it affects them, but they don't think about how it's going to affect everyone around them.
But I feel like every decision that tends to be a bad decision always affects more people than just yourself.
Yeah, but if you're like, I don't give a fuck about anyone else, that's one thing. But then if it's like, okay, if I'm doing heroin, right, and this shit kills me, it's going to leave my kid without a mom. Like, is that an actual thought? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or do you subdue that thought? Like you're subdued from that. Like you don't include that in your consequential assessment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
It's like, man, if I die, that'll suck. Oh, and my kid won't have a mom.
Right.
Oh, and this and and that. Like some people, they're not being 100% honest.
Or they
with
disconnect
them.
From that reality.
Yeah, they're not being honest with themselves.
Yes.
So I don't know. There's a lot of things that factor in. But while on the topic, what I will say is if there's anyone out there that's suffering from any sort of addiction, or if you're participating in things that you're having difficulty breaking away from and you want to write in to us, I think these are great topics to discuss on the show, and not just from a hypothetical standpoint. If we can talk about
Real
something
life.
someone's specifically dealing with, it could be helpful for yourself, it could be helpful for other people, for us to talk it out. While we don't have all the answers, because I'm not.
Sometimes it's just good to hear someone outside of the immediate circle giving you some sort of advice that something may click.
Yeah.
Something may click.
Yeah, so write us zoinrome@gmail.com.
Yep. What you got?
All right. So someone messaged us. I'm not sure if they want us to share the name, but they want us to talk about toxic relationships. So very general request, but I was thinking about it when I was just using the restroom, and I was like, okay, this is how we gonna do it.
Okay.
So what would you define as a toxic relationship? We'll start there.
Okay. What I would define...
Not Webster's, just to you.
Yeah. A toxic relationship doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship to me. You can have toxic friends. You can have toxic family members. You can have a toxic romantic relationship. Anything that just isn't healthy in general. Your way of being or the way that we are to each other is not benefiting us as individuals, as people to each other. I think that once it becomes a situation that it is unhealthy, meaning I'm no longer myself because XYZ is happening. You know, I'm not handling my behavior well. What you're doing to me is affecting anything that takes you outside of your normal self, I think is a toxic situation.
Yeah. When I was thinking about the answer to this question for myself, it falls very much in line with what you're saying. Simply put is that if me being in a relationship with you, whether it's romantic or not, makes me worse than I am by myself, then
Right.
it's officially toxic.
Correct.
Simply put, if it's compromising my well-being, who I am as a person, and it's just reeking of negative feelings, emotions, it's breeding more issues than benefit, then I feel that it's officially a toxic situation.
I agree to that. And also, as far as romantic relationships go and toxicity in that, I feel that if you're also not growing individually and as a couple, then that can also be toxic, because ultimately the result of what you want from coming together with someone else is growth, is becoming a better individual. And if you're stuck in the same place doing the same thing, that repetitive cycle, that's toxic to me.
It could be. I think it depends on the expectations in the relationship. So I'll give you an example. I'm living with a disease, multiple sclerosis, beyond my control, was in a relationship at the time that I was diagnosed. Definitely presents a lot of new issues that weren't planned. But if you're like, you have some problem solving skills with your partner, and outside of that issue, you are able to have a healthy, loving relationship where you're still fueling each other in a way that it's, at the end of the day, when you go to bed at night, you still feel like you're benefiting from me being in this relationship makes me a better person.
Right.
Despite us dealing with certain issues.
Right.
I would not trade this with me being by myself or single. You know what I mean?
Right. But that's because there's different layers in any sort of relationship.
Right.
So there's going to be certain things that you can't help. You can't help. And that's fine. That's supposed to take place. That also fuels growth, I think.
I agree.
And I think that if there's different layers to a relationship, and in 3 out of the 5 layers you're growing as a unit and as an individual, but 2 of them, those are things you can work on.
I agree.
You know, I think that that's not a toxic relationship. That's actually a healthy relationship. You're working harder on other things that are able to be worked on. And the things like, for example, your MS, you can try and live a better life, but that's always going to be there. So if you're benefiting each other in all of the other layers of that relationship, there's no way that can be toxic to me.
I agree with that. So I think it's good that we covered what we feel toxic relationships are, because when this person's like, let's talk about toxic relationships, what are we talking about it from? We're talking about it maybe from the angle of, if there's someone listening that's in a toxic relationship right now, what they can do about it. And I think the first thing is acknowledging that you're in a toxic relationship. So after listening to me and CEO, you feel like, damn, I'm in a situation and I don't feel that this relationship's making a better person. I feel it's dragging me down. I feel that I feel depressed. I feel all these negative emotions. I feel lost. All those things. I think that's the first step, identifying and you're in a toxic relationship. Now, why do you feel that it's so hard for a lot of people to get out of toxic relationships? Like, why do they stay?
I think that a lot of people are scared of being alone. I think that with them, it's like, you know how the saying goes, I'm better. How does it go? I can do bad all by myself. I think that people really don't like want to process that the right way. I think that if you are in a willing relationship with someone else and they're literally bringing you down, why wouldn't you want to leave that? Like, why wouldn't you want to leave that? Some people are just scared of being alone, and they're interpreting that as love. Like I really love this person. I even regardless of how toxic it is or how bad, it'll get better. We can work on this. There's some things that you shouldn't and can't work past. And I feel like toxic relationships, it's the healthiest thing just to separate.
I think that separation can be difficult for a variety of reasons. If there's children involved, if there's finances involved, what have you. This is the piece of advice I'm going to give anyone that's dealing with this. You got to plan. You got to properly plan your exit. You got to identify the reasons why it's hard for you to leave. And then you have to plan strategies to kind of help make your situation work. If it's finances, like keep in mind when your lease is up, how much money you would need for you to get into your own place. If you can't get into your own place, maybe finding someone that'll let you stay with them while you figure out the transition. If the situation is kids and how you can afford that, like sit down with someone, budget, research and find out what resources are out there for you. Like you really have to take the time for yourself to make yourself aware of the options, so that way you can build that confidence to do it. Or you could just do the shotgun thing and be like, fuck this shit, I'm out and I'll figure it out as I go. But one of the things that we've been discussing one-on-one off the show is that not everyone has survival skills.
Oh, 100%.
Me, I'm a survivalist. Like I can survive anything.
Yeah.
And I am the type of person that if I'm in a toxic situation and I'm like, yo, I need to get out of this situation or something really bad is going to happen, I can walk away and deal with the consequences later. While that's not the smartest approach, sometimes it's better just to run away, walk away, and build yourself back up. And I feel that the journey with self and realizing your ability to overcome difficult situations at the drop of a hat, you grow so much as a person. You grow to know yourself. And once you go through something like that, then you realize anything that it is that you want to do, anything that you put your mind to, especially with some planning, you feel so self-confident in that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's what you should do, but I'm not going to discourage you from doing it. If you have something inside of you, like that fight or flight thing that tells you to just walk the fuck out, if you feel you can handle it, I say do that shit too.
One thing I wanted to touch on though is that you did mention like sometimes what is difficult for some people is the fact that they may have kids with this person. Financially, they're not, exactly where they want to be able to walk away. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's a thin line there though, because even though I do agree with you to a certain extent, I feel that does any of that really, really hold water when mentally and emotionally you're so drained from the situation? Like, what good are you going to be to your kids that you're staying in this relationship for? Like, you're so drained, you cannot be a good mother to that child. You probably can't get money the way that you want to because there's so much on your head. Like, why stay in that?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that that is a reason to stay.
I'm just saying, even though some people do think that way, I think that it's also an excuse in their heads. Oh, I have this or I have that. Listen, when you want something bad enough, you will find a way to do it.
Yeah, and you got to think it's not just the quality of life that this significant other or other person is doing for you. It's if your child is in that home with that energy, you got to think about one day that child's going to become an adult and they're going to look back on what their household experience was like, which is like the oracle of like everything and the way we move and how we piece things together as people. It's all based
what
off
we see as normal moving forward in our own lives.
Yeah, and you got to be mindful of that. But I totally get it. I mean, I just think that not a lot of people think or when they start to think about their circumstances and their situations, they just quickly just shake it off and they are taking things one day at a time, just hoping that the next day it's going to be different. And they find themselves in a revolving door. So you're drinking or you're smoking or you're going out and you're finding all these little temporary satisfactions that keep you afloat. But at some point you got to break the chains and break the cycle. And you have to start to visualize what an ideal life is. I'm going to challenge anyone that's listening to this, that's going through something. So just take a moment and close your eyes. You ain't got to do it right now, but if you want to,
Go ahead.
go ahead. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. Just close your eyes and visualize what the ideal life would be like for you. And if when you close your eyes, you can't visualize the ideal life and you're currently unhappy in your current situation, that is a very dangerous place. It's very dangerous when you know you're unhappy and you can't even visualize what the ideal life
But
is.
I feel like that's because some people are also in denial of being unhappy.
The fact that you can't visualize the ideal circumstance for yourself means that you haven't really taken time to realize what it is that you truly deserve and truly want. And there's an emptiness there. You're just a functioning member of society that's serving others and you're not serving yourself.
Yes.
You have to take a moment and stop and start serving yourself. This has nothing to do with finances. This is you just figuring out who you are as a human being and what it is that you want. And once you visualize that, like, don't be afraid to dream big. Me, I'm a big dreamer. While I haven't achieved my big dreams, the fact that I dream big is the reason why I'm in the position that I'm in my life right now. I was at the store the other day and I was telling you about this. I was a little upset. I was a little taken aback because this lady had cut me in line. But when I looked at what she was buying, she literally was counting change to buy beans, fam. She was counting change to see if she had enough money to buy beans. And the dude that was with her, they were walked to the store and homie didn't have shoes on. And it just makes me think like I come from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sometimes I wasn't counting the change. I was stealing food to eat. And even though I'm not, rich and wealthy and all this stuff, I'm glad that I'm working a job. I get paid a decent salary. I have a roof over my head. I mean, the place we live in, this is a pretty nice place. I have money to do the things that I want. I'm having experiences that I never thought that I would ever be able to experience in my life. We have time and energy to produce content such as this podcast. And I think that because I have had huge dreams, that it has allowed the journey for me to pursue things because I'm not afraid, because I believe for myself, like, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try. I'm going to apply myself because I believed and wanted certain things for myself. So taking it back to the whole toxic thing, if when you close your eyes, you can't visualize the ideal circumstance for yourself, just start dreaming. Start writing some things down.
And I would want to piggyback off that and emphasize on when you're saying visualizing, I want you to emphasize on the word yourself. Sometimes when you visualize things, you don't have to include other people and how that makes you happy. It has to be more in line with what you can do for yourself to succeed further or get to wherever you want to get to. I think that people always include other people on how that's going to make them happy. And you have to make yourself happy before you can allow anyone else to make you happy, because nobody's going to make you happy unless you're happy with yourself.
Yeah. And I think that, if you're in the habit of being a servant in life, it's very difficult to break that cycle. And that's the issue I was dealing with. And I remember when I came out of a toxic relationship, and I remember I was battling depression at the time. Mm-hmm. I was like, you know what? I got to start enjoying my own company. Because when I was looking around, I was like, I don't have any friends. I'm all by myself. I never have things to do because I'm like, I have no one to do them with. And for those of you who've been listening a while, know you've probably heard this from me before, but I can't say it enough. It all started with me every Saturday taking myself out on a sushi date. Mm-hmm. It wasn't expensive. It was a Mexican roll and fucking miso soup. And I made it a habit to do that for myself every Saturday by myself. And I was training myself to realize that I didn't need to depend on others for me to have an enjoyable experience and to provide for myself. And for those of you who are in the service mode of taking care of everyone else, I don't care if it's something small, just start doing something kind for yourself and just build on that. Not to say that you should mold yourself into becoming this selfish individual, but You got to start training yourself that receiving good things in life is okay and it can be a normal thing.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to start receiving things in order to experience certain change in your life. Even if you have to do a little bit of work to experience that change. Not saying you're receiving things for free.
Right.
It's just the act of doing and receiving more and more and more.
That is so
It's something you have to grow comfortable with.
That is so true, because I mean, for people who have been listening from the very beginning, like I've always stated that I'm a giver. Like I'm always taking care, or I've always taken care of people in my circle, people around me, family, things like that. Like I always made it a mission to think about them before I thought about myself. And I can honestly say that this last year, I have not done that as anywhere as much on the same level that I used to. And I have been the happiest I've been in a really, really long time. It's just like, no, I have to put myself first. By putting myself first, I'm putting my child first too, because I'm not taking away from him to give to someone else. Mm-hmm. And it's okay to say no, because we should all be self-sufficient. And if you can't handle that for yourself, I can't handle it. I can't take away from my situation to give to you. The happiest I've been in a long time.
What do you think has prompted that transition for you?
Tired.
To kind of snap out of that.
I was just tired. I was drained. I was realizing that these people probably thought that I was just being kind-hearted, and then not necessarily that they were taking advantage, but yeah, to a certain degree. And I realized that I can't do that. Like, I'm not a bad person by telling you no. Mm-hmm. I'm not being selfish by telling you no. So I have to put myself first, and I was just drained. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And the moment that I was like, I'm going to be able to say no if I can do it, I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to stress myself out about it. Mm-hmm. So that when I made that decision, I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And the more that it happened, that I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. It got easier and easier every time. Mm-hmm. And the easier it got, like it was like weight was literally being lifted up off me.
All right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if anyone's going through a toxic relationship, feel free to email us. We'd love to discuss things a little more in detail. If you want advice, I would love to start reading some of these things on air and talking through them. You know, I've been listening to this podcast, Secret Keepers Club. Shout out to Brother Christopher, who produces the show. It's Carly Aquinino, I think, and then Emma Watson. It's rooted in comedy. I really, really love hearing them reading off emails from their listeners and giving off advice and the way in which they do it. And I really love it if we could get to a space where we start getting our listeners to be a little more vulnerable and comfortable sharing with us. Like, let's all find ways to help one another and build a sense of community. So if you got something on your heart and you want to let it out.
And you can say you don't want your names being stated on air. Like, we can work around that.
Yeah, like give us a fake name and whatnot.
Yeah, and if it's relationship advice, I want to see pictures. I'm gonna pull from Mouse and say, I want to see pictures of what you look like and the person that you're trying to be.
I don't need pictures.
I do. I'm a visual creature. Speaking of visual creature, men are visual creatures. Would you say?
For the most part.
For the most part, right? They usually are stimulated in more ways than just mental when it comes to seeing things visually.
Right.
So why do you think, because I'm not saying all men, but for the most part, this is what I hear. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that the arch game is so important to men?
The back arch?
The back arch.
I think the back arch makes your butt look better.
Okay.
The back arch makes your butt like more pop out.
Hence being visual creatures, right? Mm-hmm. So you feel like it has nothing to do with it's a better positioning for me. It's just it looks good.
I feel like if there's a good arch, there's more of a range of motion that's going to happen too.
I can see that.
Because if it's just straight, it's going to be just like, there's not going to be much of a range of motion.
So do you feel like that may be uncomfortable for them too? Like someone was just stiff.
Not necessarily uncomfortable, but it's not as stimulating.
Interesting. You think you got a good arch game?
I think my arch game's decent. I mean, I personally have a weird... Actually, my arch game has to be on point because...
Your butt's so big?
Well, people think it's all my butt, but it's not. It's my arch.
So you're saying that you have a big butt, but it looks a lot bigger because of your arch?
Okay, I'm gonna have to show you this after the show.
Okay.
But if you look at my butt, like from a side view,
Yeah, it pops.
that whole like round thing of my butt, that's not my butt. Only like half of that is my butt. The top part of it is my lower back.
Right. I know what you're talking about.
But I feel like when you look at other women with big butts, both that round piece is like legit their butt cheeks.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not.
I can see that.
It's not. It's my back arch that bubbles out like that.
So you're saying because it's naturally like that, even when you're standing up, you can only imagine what your arch game really looks like when you're arching.
I'm trying to like, yeah, my arch is good.
I can't deal.
I think my arch is good.
No, because I keep hearing that though. I keep hearing guys saying stuff like, damn, a girl with a good arch is everything.
Yeah, I think it's aesthetically appeasing and all that, but you know, it's a little difficult to kind of speak on it because I know that not everyone has the
Do you feel bad for those people?
I don't feel bad if I feel bad if they don't feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like you can't, without plastic surgery, it's like we don't really get to choose our body type. I didn't choose to have huge boobs and a big butt.
That's but I don't know if arch is really because of a body type. I feel like even if you don't naturally have that little thing that you're talking about for your butt, I feel like if you are flexible enough to position your body in a certain type of way, you can have an arch.
I feel like genetically some people can't arch. Think about it. There's people that are flat-footed and people that are not. People that are flat-footed don't got the arch in their foot.
Yo, that was a really good metaphor. I see what you did there, friend.
Yeah, it's like some people probably just, they vertebrae ain't built like that.
Okay.
Yo, daddy gonna fix that.
Yo, daddy can't fix that, boo.
Yo, daddy gonna fix that.
Yo, daddy cannot fix that.
I don't know. Some people, they can't even if they tried.
Fellas, if you want to write into us and tell us how important the arch game is to you, please feel free to do so. Or if you just don't even care about it, like, you can tell us that too.
Yeah. Let me see if I have any other notes. So we were expecting something else to happen on today's episode, and I kind of underwhelmed myself with the notes.
It's okay. I have one last one if you don't.
I apologize in advance.
If you don't have anything else, I can definitely.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Amazon lingerie is
you already said
the shit on the show. Bruh, I wore some new shit that I got from the last time I've said this. 2 for 2, straight banger, fam.
I need to start like being more on Amazon.
Dog, like I'm just so stunned. So you know the lingerie company Adore Me or whatever.
Yeah.
What I'm realizing now that I've bought this lingerie is that it's knockoff Adore Me because the name on Amazon, the seller's name is Adome, Adome. So it's like Adore Me without the R.
So it's like the generic knockoffs of stuff.
Yeah, and what I love about it is that it's lacy. It's stretchy. It forms to whatever your body type is. And I'm wearing lingerie pieces that I just thought that I could never wear before, whether they didn't have them in my size or I'm worried about how it will look on me. And the things I've ordered so far, I'm like very, very thrilled with. You know, for many years, I never wore lingerie because I always had Victoria's Secrets in mind. And I'm like, Victoria's Secrets doesn't sell my bra size. And if it doesn't fit me perfectly, like, I can't do it. I was always telling myself the only thing I could wear is like the shit that you see in the sex toy store that comes in the package.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the stretchy, like,
bitch, that's why you got all them little netted things in your drawer?
Yeah, because that's why I thought that was like the extent of lingerie for me. But now that I know, like, I can do it, I'm just like, wow, it adds a layer of sexiness that I've not routinely experienced throughout my sex life.
Does it feel good?
Feels amazing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to lay around in it and just.
Do you feel like it would be like?
I don't care if I'm doing nothing.
But that's what I'm saying. Do you think it's sexy to go to bed in lingerie?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. I mean, it's better if you're not by yourself. but it's like it just feels good on your skin. It's like naked, but it's like the lace kind of like stimulates a little bit of something. It's so lightweight. It feels so good. I love it.
Speaking of self, how we're saying, we were talking about toxic relationship and stuff. I think that's also important. I think it's also important to not just worry about looking sexy for someone else. I think it's important to feel sexy about yourself. So if it takes you going to bed in lingerie and there's nobody next to you and you just wake up and you're like, damn, I look good. That's fine. I think that people should look into doing that more.
By the way, shout out to someone who shall remain nameless, but they bought me a bath bomb. And I did a bath bomb for the first time, and I liked it.
Yeah?
I liked it.
I have bath bombs, and I haven't done them. I need to do it.
It's pretty cool.
I'd be just scared of, like, that type of, like, chemical stuff in my nana.
I don't know. I think they take that into consideration when they make the bath bombs. Look at, not every bath bomb is created equally, but these bath bombs, I think, came from Ross, TJ Maxx, and they have, like, herbal stuff in them. You can get different types of ones, so. But I always take a shower after I take a bath anyway, which I don't take baths often at all. Either. But to add to your point, sometimes like when I'm hustling and bustling, I'm like, I just need to take a shower, do my makeup, get out the door, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes I'm like, you know what? I need to completely de-stress. I'm going to take my time, take a nice hot shower. I'm going to pumice stone my feet. I'm going to shave. I'm going to apricot scrub my face, which I've been doing anyway, every day anyway. But sometimes I just do it on a deeper level to where I'm like looking at the showering experience as a de-stressing.
As an experience.
Like I'm winding down. I'm letting my muscles like loosen up, really taking that time. You get out the shower, lotion your whole body, not just the hot spots, elbows, knees, you know what I'm saying? Lotion your whole body, put some massage oil on, just pamper yourself. Like me, I don't like spending money on shit that I don't need to. Like if I could pluck my own eyebrows, I'm not gonna go get them threaded.
Facts.
If they get out of control, I'm gonna get them threaded. But like I try to find little things I could do for myself. I do my own nails. I'll paint my own toes, and just once you add that all together, like the shower, the nails, the face, the eyebrows, and you're like, afterwards, you're like, oh my God, I just feel so refreshed. And then just imagine the end of that is you with a glass of wine, your little lingerie, and you get in your bed and you just like feel invigorated.
Yes.
Like do that for yourself. It's hard to do it if you have a house full of little ones that don't leave you the fuck alone. But if you have someone helping you out, ask them to be like, yo, hold the fort down for the night, or find a sitter, and do something. Like always take time out to kind of just
I think that's super important.
Peace. It just brings out that inner peace, man. That's so hard to fight for sometimes, especially when you got a lot of hustle and bustle in your life. Like I think things are picking up for the both of us where we're getting invited to a lot of things and people want us to be a part of things. And while I love being a part of everything that I can, with it becoming so busy, it's sometimes hard to find that inner peace because I'm not taking out time for myself. But I feel like every night before you go to bed, when everything's laid to rest, that's like the perfect time to just push a little further and do a little something extra for yourself.
Yeah. And I like to include music when I'm doing stuff like that. Just kind of like so that the music is what I'm more focused on rather than the thoughts that are constantly going on in my head.
That's a good idea.
It's just like sometimes I need to stop those voices and those thoughts to just be like, stop, like focus on something else. So I'll enjoy my music. I'll de-stress, do whatever. What do you keep looking at?
Your necklaces. I like them.
Oh, thanks.
I'm sorry.
I was like, I feel like you're always looking at my boobs when we're doing this show, but that's neither here nor
sorry.
there.
Wow. No, I am looking at your necklaces and the way that they're layered. That's pretty cool.
Thanks.
Sorry.
It's okay. I think that music. I definitely think that that's a good idea. Plus, I'm such a music head anyway, so.
Yeah, I'm sorry for laughing, but I just thought of a funny thing that I can talk about before ending the show.
You can or you can't?
I can.
Okay.
So, I'll put it to you like this. I'm kind of seeing someone. Well, I am seeing someone, right? And we went to dinner. And I don't know what the fuck I ate, but I had so much gas, fam. I had so much gas, And I had a very strong drink for dinner, just one. And I don't know what was going on, but when we were walking away from dinner to the next destination, I farted, right?
Mind you, this is like the first time you have dinner with him?
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
And it was fine dining.
It was fine dining, all right.
And he was like, did you just fart? I was hoping that he wouldn't hear it.
Or that he wouldn't bring it up.
Say anything. He was like, did you just fart? I was like, yep.
I would have denied it. I would have been like, nope.
Yeah, that was me.
Yo, what is wrong with you? You don't feel like denying stuff like that? Like, nah, dude, homie, that was
I just like, yep. And struck my shoulders. I was like, sorry.
And proceeded to change the subject.
Yeah, sorry.
Anyways.
I just feel like if someone's going to make a big deal about me farting, I'd be like, listen, there's something going on in my tummy. We're all human. We all have our moments. Why are you making such a big deal? I would flip it back on them. Like, come on, let's not make a big deal. Let's not let it be the highlight of the night and whatnot.
Speaking of
unless
that,
we're laughing about it. If you're going to turn it into something negative, I ain't got time for this shit or these fights. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of that, though, do you feel like there's a time frame that is appropriate to fart in front of your significant other?
Yeah, we talked about this on the episode. And I still can't narrow down like when you know that it's okay. Me, I don't ever want to get to a place where I'm like, it's okay to let one rip in front of my significant other. I'm all about, we talked about the silent joint, spreading the butt cheek.
I'm
still on that shit.
I'm so not the girl where I just like feel comfortable like that. Like I'll literally get up and leave the room.
In fact, when I was with someone, like I went away for a weekend, and like on the second or third day, they were like, "Man, have you pooped since we've been here?" And I'm like, "Yep." And they're like, "When?" And I'm like, "When we were at the grocery store," and I'm not purposely trying to find like getaways to poop, like a poop getaway.
Yeah.
But I think subconsciously in my mind, it's like, nah, you don't want to poop with this nigga around.
For real.
Like, once I got to the grocery store, I was like, oh, you know.
It's like your body knew. They were like, here, this is the time to go.
This is the time. This is the moment. I like it if a man views me as if like, wow, like, she doesn't poop. She doesn't smell. Her skin's so soft. She smells so good. She's just this. And I feel like once the poops and farts come into the play, it kind of makes you less perfect.
You're right. It does make you less perfect. And I think that's probably why
I was cute about it. I was like, yes, sorry. I still kind of maintain that
cuteness.
Yeah. Whoopsie.
But I feel like guys think like that too, though. Mm-hmm. Like I've definitely been in situations where I've been kicking it with someone and they'll literally like, actually, this is actually really funny. They've actually been like, yo, pull the car over right now. And I'm like, what? They're like, pull the car over right now. And I'm like, why? Like I'm freaking out because I don't know why I'm pulling the car over. And they'll literally like run out the car and like far outside before they come back. I'm like, that's respect. To save their life. That's respect.
They trying to save them nostrils, fam. Yo.
And considerate.
I think that it's bad enough that I'm kind of a tomboy at heart and that my mannerisms are already kind of guy-like. It's just part of who I am and my persona. I think it's bad enough that I'm naturally that way. It would make it even worse if I just started belching and farting like it's a normal day-to-day thing and that someone should accept it. I think that what's so interesting about me as it relates to relationships is that you can find that I'm still like this delicate little flower, but only you know that. Yeah. Once you get close to me from the outside looking in,
you would never know.
You would never know. You probably think this is a gully ass bitch that be just burping and farting and like not wearing lingerie. She go to bed with sports bras and basketball shorts and shit. And I'm so not that girl.
You know what's so crazy is that I think I'm the opposite. So I think that I like to come off cute and sexy and just like people looking like, oh my God, like she seems like such a good girl. And then like all it takes is for you to do someone to do something wrong and for you to see that blackout moment and be like, oh, so she can be gully too. Like I like having the opposite of you.
Yeah, I feel like for me to always give off the impression of this femininity, like in my professional life, it's easy for me to keep that up because it plays in, like, I wear pumps to work.
Right.
You know, I give off this feminine energy. But when I'm laid back, like today, again, Doc Martens, shorts, oversized shirt, I'm comfy, cute. That's like when I'm in my most comfortable space. For me to keep up this thing of femininity, I feel like that would be more work because it goes so against
Your
what my
natural,
natural.
yeah. Like, because I've
sense
had
of self.
people even said like, I've had a conversation with someone and I'll be like, oh yeah, because shit, when I spazzed out, let me tell you, or when I spaz out, let me tell you. And they're like, really? I can't see that in you. And that always makes me chuckle because I'm like, oh, it's in there.
You know, and I think that I get what you're saying. Like, I don't know, I get mixed reviews from people of like, oh, I can't ever imagine you living like this hardcore life that you talk about. But once people get to know me, they're like, okay,
I get it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think that I don't really concern myself with the feedback and what people think anymore because I know as an adult in the direction I'm trying to go in my life, I don't
Does it even really matter?
Yeah, I don't want to have to put my hands on someone, but just know if it comes down to it, I'm not afraid of. If I have to, I will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that it's good for people I fuck with to be aware of how gully and how far I'm willing to take a situation if it ever goes down, so that if something happens, they know, they have an idea in their head on how I'm going to react to something. Whether it's you intervening and holding me back, or you falling back and letting me handle something on our behalf, or whatever. I think it's important for people to know what I'm capable of, but I don't feel that it's something to be proud of, me beating the brakes off of somebody.
No. You know, you are probably one of very few that know my capabilities, because I feel like there's been instances where I'm super, like, it takes a lot for me to get, like, I'm super patient. It takes a lot for me to like lose my shit. I try and always be very mindful of how I speak back to people, even if there's a disagreement or we're not seeing eye to eye. Like, I try to be very aware of what words I use, because I want there to be an understanding and be more of a communication thing, rather than like, no, I don't agree with you type thing. But there's been moments where I've seen you see where my crazy may start to come out, and you'll be quick to be like, Zio, hold on, before it even happens. Like, that one time we were at the bar and there was that one shorty that was drunk, and I was like, yo, switch seats with me real quick. And the moment I was like, switch seats with me, you were like, Zio.
Yeah, and I think that that's when it's like, that's the importance of knowing
the person,
the capability,
exactly,
like what that person's capable of, and how it could become a bad situation. Because when you're in the heat of the moment, you're upset about something,
you're not thinking clearly.
You're not thinking clearly about all the consequences
right.
and everything. Wow, full circle moment.
Full circle.
Did you have any more topics? Because I kind of have something random.
Okay, I have one more, and then you can go on your random. Do you believe that respect should be a common sense thing, or do people just build their own interpretations of what respect actually means?
I think there's a general baseline level of what's respectful to one another. Please and thank you. Don't let a door slam in my fucking face. Just common things of respect. But I feel like for those one-off situations, if you feel something's disrespectful and is very specific to you as an individual, a cultural difference, something like that, sometimes you have to speak up and let someone know how a certain behavior makes you feel, because that person may not know. Like, we're not all mind readers. So I may be doing something and you may view it as something disrespectful, but if I don't know that, I may continue to do it because I don't know what I don't know. Perfect example. I was actually discussing this with some of the guys that came through last night. In some Middle Eastern countries, if you are sitting at a table or there's an ottoman and you put your feet up and your foot's facing, the bottom of your foot is facing someone, that's considered disrespectful, because it means that it sends the signal that you are open to walking all over that person.
Really?
Now, from an American standpoint, we don't really have that cultural thing.
Right.
And that person, you could be having your feet propped up in front of this Middle Eastern person, and deep down inside they're like, oh, this is so disrespectful, because what they're taught in their own society, their own culture. They're taught that that's disrespect. But if I don't know that, you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm disrespecting you without realizing it.
Right.
It's all perspective, right? But talking to someone rudely, or the letting doors slam, or just not saying please, not saying thank you, those are all common sense things. And unfortunately, more often than not, man, I come across people with bad manners all the time. And it's a little annoying. I'm just like, sometimes if I'm walking into like an establishment and I'm opening the door for myself, and I see someone behind me, I'll be holding the door because I don't want it to slam in their face, but they'll walk through the door without grabbing it from me, as though I was holding the door open for them to pass through. So they automatically put me in a position that I didn't intend to. So it's like, oh, bitch, you think I'm just sitting here holding a door open for you? Like, no, I was avoiding the shit slamming in your face. You get what I'm saying? And I feel that it's rude and disrespectful for you to just prance through as though you're entitled to me holding the door open. Like, what in your mind made you think it was okay?
I think that's where perspective comes into play too, like you were saying. I think that in their minds, they're like, oh, she's gonna hold the door, and you're like, bitch, I'm just holding it so it doesn't slam in your face. So they're probably like, oh, she's being kind, she's being respectful, and you're just like, you're being disrespectful.
Absolutely, because if someone's holding the door, unless they give me a gesture like, go ahead, I'm holding this open to you, I never assume that they're holding a door open for me. If they're holding a door and it's just kind of like the backhand holding it open, then I take that off their hands so they can go about and, thank them for holding it for me. And again, it's an entitlement thing. And I feel like people who are overly entitled sometimes do things that are really rude and disrespectful without realizing it. Poor home training and shit like that.
I think that some people just, this is going to sound bad, but I'm going to say it anyways. Mm-hmm. I think that some people that maybe aren't as, whether it's book or street educated, have that problem when it comes to respect. And the reason why I bring this up, because we don't really touch too much on media. At least we try not to. But I just wanted to take a quick moment out of respect and say, we lost Nipsey Hussle.
Right.
And, may he rest in peace. But something did take place where Kodak Black made some comments about his wife, his girlfriend. I don't think that they were married. Mm-hmm. And I felt like they were extremely inappropriate. A lot of people felt like they were extremely inappropriate. And when I see his rebuttals to what other people are saying, I'm like, how do you not think that what you said or how you behaved is disrespectful?
So to add some context, Lauren London, Nipsey Hussle were an item. Nipsey passed away. And Kodak was like, oh, she's a widow now, and
she's that baby. I'm going to give her a year to mourn and cry. But after that, I'll probably try and holler at her. I'll be a good man for her and do stuff in this community. Listen,
distasteful.
Sometimes you just have to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we all make mistakes, right? We all sometimes put our foot in our mouth. I think it shows more character if you take what people are saying to you and they're telling you, yo, that's disrespectful, and you process that, and then you say, you know what? My bad. Even if I didn't see it as disrespectful or intend it to be disrespectful, I can understand where others may have taken that. And instead of trying to prove your point, just apologize.
Yeah.
I think that shows more character in someone.
I mean, I don't think he's built that way.
But that's what I'm saying. That's where that common sense comes into play.
Whether or not it's common sense, sometimes it's just poor home training, bruh. And I can't stand it when someone with poor, I'm gonna put it to you like this. If I got a homeboy that's like, yo, I'm gonna come through with my shorty, blah, blah, blah. Is it okay if I bring her? You bring her around, I see that she has poor home training, I'm gonna pull you aside as a friend and be like, yo,
you can't bring her here no more.
Ain't got no home training. She can't come to my house, blah, 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 reasons ABC, XYZ. Sometimes I can acknowledge it's that, not that this person is a bad person, just they don't know any better and they're a fucking liability, because they're going to end up pissing me off to the point where I may end up having to, let a bitch know about herself. Either I'm going to have to hurt her feelings one day. She's going to be too ignorant to realize why she's doing something wrong. Kind of like the Kodak Black thing. If I'm like, yo, ma, when you did ABC and XYZ, it came off disrespectful. And then they're like, I don't understand. I don't feel it's disrespectful. And then we're having this revolving door dialogue where you just simply don't get it because you weren't raised to understand like these very like basic concepts of like what should be allowed and what shouldn't be allowed.
But I feel like that also goes to what you were saying originally, which is sometimes culturally too, because I know as far as like minorities go, I think that it's a pretty universal thing within the, you know, minority community that you can't just for the first time come into my house and open my refrigerator. You can't come into my house when I'm first meeting you and put your feet on my couch. I feel like those are very basic, common sense, respectful things to do or not do. But sometimes people do that and I'd be looking at them like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yo, I gotta give credit to my moms, yo. Like, even though like coming up was rough, man, my mom's just a tough cookie. But one of the things was like respect. And it was like respecting her and understanding the consequences of disrespect, and her also enforcing not to allow people to disrespect me, planted the seed in my mind of how important it is to respect one another. I was with someone in their car and I needed to charge my phone. And I was like, hey, is it okay if I charge my phone? And I went to grab the charger and I went to go plug it in. And I noticed they didn't respond. And I turned to them, I'm like, is it okay if I charge my phone? I asked him again. And he was like, I was waiting to see if you were going to wait for me to respond or if you were just going to do it anyway. He was like, because one thing is I realize that people will ask if they can do something
and then just do it.
They assume it's going to be okay and they just do it anyway. And it's like, what's the point of asking? I was like, oh, so I guess I passed the test. It's just a phone charger. Like, I already knew that person wasn't going to have an issue. It has been very unlikely that they were going to tell me no.
Respect,
but I'm being respectful.
Waiting, right?
This is your car.
This is your charger.
This is not mine. I'm not going to just take, and I'm going to be respectful enough to wait for you to grant me that permission before just using your things. And I don't know. For me, it's just so deep rooted in me because I don't like when people take from me and not asking or don't be considerate. So I just try to do that unto others, you know. So people that don't have that baseline level or understanding of respect, I just don't know what that looks like. I just feel like the whole meaning of life and appreciation of things would be completely skewed because if you feel so entitled to everything, how can you acknowledge a blessing?
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yo, that's a deep ass question. If you feel so entitled to everything, how can you acknowledge a blessing?
Yeah. I also can't fuck with people like that though. Like I can't have people like that in my immediate circle just because I wouldn't even want to share time or space with you. Like if I'm constantly feeling disrespected by the little things that you do that should be common sense, I just want to continue like not having you around, period.
I agree with that. I just need to say your hair looks fucking awesome.
Really?
Dude, I don't know what's going on with, I think it's these layers. But your hair looks great. I want my hair to grow.
It's the shampoo that I'm using, guys. Aussie, shout out to Aussie. That Miracle Moisture shit. Poppin'.
Your hair is fucking dope. You got like that Brazilian kinky curly weave.
Yo, you gassing me up right now, son.
Damn, the hair's on point.
Okay.
Don't let my hair grow. I ain't gonna know how to act.
How you turn this into you though?
I'm just saying, what I'm saying is that I'm admiring your hair so much
that you
like,
can't wait for that.
Wow, if my hair looked like this, like I wouldn't know how to act.
Yeah.
That's the greatest compliment.
That's
if
true.
I had your hair, I would be taking over the world right now.
Son, you can take over the world with your hair right now.
I know, but it would be even more.
Got it. All right, that's all I have, friends. But you said you wanted to go on a rant, right?
Not a rant, but I just have one last question. We don't need to drag this out.
All right.
So it's come up a few times amongst the same group of friends that if a guy has already seen you naked, then what's the point of you covering yourself up at a later date, covering up your nakedness if he's already seen you naked before?
I don't know, fam. I don't know because this is bringing up some...
Oh my gosh. So let me cover the nips.
You know what's so crazy is that I've actually heard this too. Like I've heard guys be like Like, let's say that they were in a relationship with someone, right? And then time passes, years go by, whatever. We're no longer in a relationship, but we're still cool. And like you're saying, you walk into the room, Shorty's changing, and she's like, and covers up. They've said, bitch, I've seen you naked already, so what the fuck is the problem?
Yeah.
But my thing is, you don't have that privilege anymore. You do not have the privilege of seeing me naked once again.
But the argument that they're putting is that I've already seen you naked, so
And you're not going to see me naked today.
Unsee it.
Right, in your minds, but in real life, you don't get that privilege, fam. And I'm not going to give you a reminder again of what it is that this was.
I think that the allure and that energy and that stimulation that happens from seeing something in person, that I need to at least minimize that as I see fit, provided the circumstance. And it's like, even though you've seen me before, there is something unique to when you see someone naked. Now, another argument that I brought up when we were having this conversation is that sometimes we have to be careful not to be naked all the time when with our significant others. So for example, when you come home from work, butt ass naked, there's nothing sexual or arousing going on. And I'm like, hey babe, we got to pay the bills and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just sitting here with the titties out.
Yeah, now it becomes a normal thing.
Blah, blah. And then now your man starts to become desensitized because
to your
being
body
naked is such a normal thing that's no longer arousing. So I think that nakedness is a very interesting thing, and if properly managed, it can maintain its power. There's power in nakedness.
Yeah, and I actually think it's more, well, I would think that it's more sexy or intriguing to guys if, let's say, for bringing up the same situation that you just brought up, your man comes home from work, whatever, if you're still wearing clothes, but it's clothes that are fitting in a way that makes him think what you're looking like,
peekaboo
yeah, like some little booty shorts.
Little butt cheek,
little hanging down
out of the t-shirt,
like little low cut shirt that, like, when you bend down shows a little cleavage. You know,
let me see more.
Exactly. I feel like I think that's sexier than it would be just to walk around naked.
That's the whole reason why burlesque is so dope.
Right.
In fact, that's kind of what's inspired me to want to wear more lingerie, because I'm watching these burlesque shows at the nude night. And I'm like, yo, she's got the pasties on, the whole allure of her taking off her clothes in a sexy way. And ultimately, I know I'm not going to see tits and ass, but it still stimulates me. It stimulates me more than when I go to the strip club.
Right. I agree.
It's the art of the disrobing and all that stimulates. It's the anticipation.
And I think that's another,
it's the anticipation. That's what it is.
I don't feel like women give themselves enough credit for their bodies, regardless of how it is that they feel. I feel like our bodies are an art form in itself. Mm-hmm. I really, really do.
Yeah, and I think it's because they're so unique and everyone's body's
different, right?
It's kind of like, yeah, it's a very interesting thing. So I don't have the answer as to why some women feel these, oh my gosh, I have to cover up after you've already seen them naked. But just let us rock.
I'm telling you, my personal feeling on
it
is,
let us do what we feel is right in the moment. It may not logically make sense, but just let us follow our internal compass with the naked shit, fam.
And I think that because I like to be like craved in a sense, mm-hmm. I do like that feeling. So I don't want you to walk into the room and feel like, oh, well, I've already seen you naked, I can see you naked. No, nigga, crave seeing me naked.
I'm with that.
You know what I'm saying?
Crave seeing me naked.
That's all I got.
Yo, I've been discussing with some friends the idea of starting an ASMR podcast. It's probably not going to happen, but I think Brother Chris has a sexy voice. I heard him on the Secret Keepers Club, and I'm like,
yeah, when I heard him on the Clubhouse, I was like, okay, Chris, I hear you.
Your voice is really nice. But I've heard the feedback that both you and I have these quiet storm voices.
Yes. Smooth jazz voices.
Smooth jazz.
That's what I hear.
99.7. We'll catch you on the other side of the break.
I've also heard that we should be phone sex operators, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, what do we do with this voice talent? Maybe we should create something on Fiverr if someone needs us to like record a commercial for something. I feel like we need to find a gig where our voice is the It's the skill.
You know what's so bad here?
Start getting this guap,
Is
fam.
that you're literally talking about this and you're talking about it as far as making money. And in my head, what I'm thinking is, I'm going to start whispering in niggas' ears.
Wow.
And then
Do you see me?
it's going to turn into something real sexual. Why am I doing this? Like, you're thinking about making money. I'm thinking about making it pop.
Hey, I think that says a lot about who we are as individuals. I'm like money.
I'm like sex.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Catch us on the next week. Thank you for being loyal to our show. For all the new listeners, welcome, welcome, welcome. And we really want to diversify this a bit more, but we need your participation. Shoot us an email. Hit us up on Instagram. Stay connected. We building that community. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, feedback, comments, reach out, all that good stuff. We want to listen and hear from you guys.
All right. See you later.
Bye-bye.